Welcome to Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom. I'm Peter Gross, co-host of the original Wild Kingdom with Marlon Perkins and Jim Fowler. Most of us have seen movies or television shows where sharks have been portrayed as marauders who prey on unsuspecting swimmers or smaller fish in the sea. But many Wild Kingdom episodes illustrate how sharks and other predators are an important part of the food chain in our underwater world. Oceans cover 70% of our planet, yet we still have much to learn about this important ecosystem. Modern technology has enhanced our ability to study the oceans with minimal disruption to their habitat. Human involvement and recent legislation to protect underwater creatures allow for the resurgence of these many species. There's more good news to come in the Wild Kingdom, so sit back and enjoy Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom.
Unique among animals of the Wild Kingdom, the northern fur seal has staked out a private corner of the earth, which is his alone. Alone, that is, in company with 2 million other seals. Every summer, from their feeding grounds throughout the Pacific Ocean, this great herd returns to converge upon a cluster of tiny islands in answer to the mystic call of the Pribilofs.
Hello, welcome to Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom. Today we're going to take a trip to a summer resort.
Sort of sounds like you're taking the wild out of Wild Kingdom.
Well, Jim, it won't sound like that if you'll play a bit of the tape that we've been studying. That's the sound of the Pribilofs, breeding ground of the northern fur seals, home base for one of the strangest mass migrations in the Wild Kingdom.
Wouldn't you say that perhaps this is the most spectacular of all sea migrations?
Yes, Jim, I think it is. And it's all centered on the Pribilofs. 4 tiny islands in the Bering Sea, deserted in the winter, in the summer just overrun with fur seals. And where do these seals come from? From all over the wide expanse of the Pacific. From offshore North America as far south as San Diego. From the China Sea southward over the coastal waters of Asia to Singapore. From these and other feeding grounds stretching across the vast areas of the Pacific. Each spring they heed the call of the Pribilofs. Rarely if ever do they put ashore at any other place. But all of them, all 2 million of them, head north and somehow by instinct find the narrow passes through the Aleutian Islands and return to these particular minute rocks jutting out of the Bering Sea. First to arrive early in May are the old bull seals, who have wintered in nearby waters. Unerringly, each bull returns to the same part of the rookery every year. Among the early arrivals this year were myself and our fine wildlife photographer, Warren Garst. With wonderful cooperation from the men of the Fish and Wildlife Service, we were able to study and photograph the complete breeding cycle. Right from the start, the bulls exhibit their most characteristic trait, aggressive territoriality. The first to reach shore generally stake out their territories along the water's edge. And each newcomer faces stiff opposition as he seeks to break through and establish a post for himself. The territory is the keystone of the social structure of seals. Bulls station themselves at more or less regular intervals throughout the rookery, and once established, a bull doesn't leave his territory until late summer, not even to eat. He spends the next 2 months fasting and warding off threats, real and imaginary. Once established on shore, a bull is accepted by his neighbors. But each intruder is asking for trouble, not just from the bull whose territory he invades, but from others nearby. The establishment gangs up on him to drive him off. These great bulls are appropriately called beach masters. They range in age from 7 to 20 years and weigh up to 650 pounds or more. When not bluffing or fighting to assert their territorial rights, they lie around just sleeping and scratching, awaiting the arrival of the cows. A month or so after the beach masters have established themselves, the mature females begin to arrive. Although seals are now aquatic creatures, ages ago they were land dwellers, and even today they must come ashore to bear their young. Hence the long migration to these rocky islands. As he eagerly greets each cow, a bull seeks to entice her into his territory, while discouraging his neighbors from luring her away. He makes a big show of this, but from our observation and from other studies, it seems clear that a cow doesn't select a particular bull, but rather a certain territory. Her homing instinct brings her back each year to the same area. And because travel on land is difficult for all seals, and especially a pregnant female, the first cows to haul out of the water generally occupy territories right along the shore. And they're gregarious. A dozen or more may come together in one harem before a neighboring bull just a few feet away can attract a single cow. As his harem begins to fill, the problems of a bull multiply. Not only must he guard his territorial boundaries and try to attract additional cows, but he must persuade the cows he already has to stay in the fold. His means of persuasion are less than gentle. But for all his vigilance and toughness, a bull has more than he can handle, and any cow intent on moving can slip out while he's looking after another. So overall, the harem structure is quite fluid. Although the harem bulls are forever snapping and snarling at one another, they rarely engage in pitched battles. The real fight occurs when an idle bull from up behind the rookery moves into organized territory. Even if his intent is merely to get down to the water, he has to fight every inch of the way, running a fierce gauntlet.
I suppose this northern climate of the Pribilofs helps make them a good breeding place for the seals. They're well adapted to living in cold climate, but heat would kill them very quickly.
Yeah, of course they can't shed those heavy fur coats. As it is, the Pribilofs are just barely cool enough for them in the summer. There are days when the females have to take to the water to get cool.
Well, fog would help because this would shield them from the direct rays of the sun, and I understand this is a foggy area.
Yes, just ask anyone who ever tried to take pictures there. But we were fortunate to have an unusually good number of partly sunny days. On one of the brighter days, we made a side trip to the nearby bird cliffs. Hundreds of birds crowd onto these sheer rocks to build their nests on the narrow ledges. It may be a precarious spot for this cormorant to hatch her eggs, but there's not much danger of other animals sneaking up and stealing them. A member of the gull family is the kittiwake, a graceful flyer and a sharp-eyed fisher. But the most characteristic birds of the North Pacific are the members of the family Alcidae, like the murre. These birds are the northern equivalent of the Antarctic penguins, though of course they're smaller, and they haven't lost the ability to fly. In the same family are the auklets, smaller relatives of the famous and extinct great auk. And perhaps the most interesting, certainly the most grotesque, are the puffins. Cold water fishermen all, they share these barren rocks with the seals. Now the rookery looks like Coney Island on a Sunday in July. It's hard to distinguish one harem from another, yet photographs taken in the 1890s reveal the very same pattern of distribution. Harems vary in size from 1 cow to 100, an average about 45. With the females squabbling among themselves and the bulls constantly asserting their authority, multiply this by 40,000 harems on the island, and you understand why the place is sheer bedlam. Into this world of sound and fury, the baby seal is born. Completely furred, blue eyes wide open, weighing in at about 10 to 12 pounds. His arrival concerns only his mother. She does nothing whatever to clean him, but immediately sniffs him and calls to him. He calls back. By these means, scent and sound, they will know each other from all other cows and pups. A cow may give birth to her pup within a few hours of her arrival, and almost always within 2 days. Thus, the timing of her return to the islands is as unerring as her sense of geography. Until he leaves the rookery in the fall, the pup will feed only on his mother's milk, and very rich milk it is, over 50% fat. For the first few days, the cow is a doting mother, looking after her pup's welfare and guarding him against the twin hazards of slippery rocks and thrashing seals. Seal pups are among the most precocious in the wild kingdom. At the moment of birth, they're as far along in development as a domestic dog at 3 weeks. A few minutes after birth, they're able to move about on their own. Of course, their movements are a bit shaky at first and apt to get them into trouble. Life in a harem is no bed of roses. The bull completely ignores the pups, and the cows care for none but their own. So for the pup, life is a continuing ordeal of being slapped, squashed, mauled, trampled, and sat upon. No wonder the pups collectively take refuge in pup pods, away from the crush of the harem. With the place literally crawling with pups, harem life becomes more confused than ever. A cow trying to retrieve a wandering pup will be stopped by a bull, who sees her as trying to escape. aggression is contagious, and other bulls are incited to make raids on neighboring harems. All in all, it's a violent world, and the wonder is that any pup survived their first summer. The peaceful corners of the Pribilofs are the beaches where the younger bulls haul out, those too young and immature to claim and win territories. Unhampered by domestic responsibility, these bachelors have nothing to do but sport and play. The water, of course, is their natural home, and they make the most of it. They maneuver with perfect safety around jagged rocks. Already, though, their play is aggressive, foreshadowing the behavior they'll exhibit when they become beach masters. But for now, they're flipper loose and fancy free. Although much has been made over the fighting among the beach masters, there's another phase of the Pribilof story that to me is much more significant and dramatic. It concerns the pups. After all, they're the reason for this amazing migration. After the first few days, their mothers cease to protect them or do anything but feed them. Assembling in their pup pods, in the relatively quiet places between the frenzied harems, they play together much as do dog pups, snapping and shoving, cooling off, scratching, eternally scratching. While the bulls never leave their territories and never eat all summer long, the cows regularly go out to sea to feed and restore their milk supply, making the first trip about a week after the pup is born. Getting down to the water is a trial. Every bull she passes sees her as a cow trying to escape from his harem, so he does all he can to restrain her. For most of the summer, she will fight this battle as she repeatedly goes to sea in search of food, and returns for about 2 days between trips to feed her pup. Her first trip usually lasts about 5 days. Later trips, 8 days. With thousands of cows fishing the same waters, her search extends outward to a radius of 200 miles from the islands. Deserted by a mother gone to sea and completely ignored from birth by his father, the pup faces alone a cruel, cruel world. Rapidly developing his powers of locomotion, he sets out to examine, explore, discover. Everywhere he goes, he meets hostility, rejection. Soon he's hungry, of course. Is this mother? No? Where is she? His natural bent for exploration, abetted by a longing to find his mother, impels him to wander farther and farther afield. He finds the land can be as hostile as the seals. He grows hungrier and hungrier. If he could talk, he would surely be saying, "Won't somebody please tell me where my mother is?" Life is still full of mysteries. He even tries to nurse on a bull. Alone in the crowd, he waits his mother's return. And return she does, to face the task of locating her own pup among the thousands swarming over the rookeries. How does she do it? She calls to him and repeats the call while she's drying herself. Of course, her call would go unheard had not her unfailing homing ability guided her back to the very same area where she bore her pup. So once again, she heeds the mystic call of the Pribilofs. The ability of the seal to maneuver so swiftly and gracefully in the water and then be able to scale a rugged, almost perpendicular cliff, surely this is one of the true marvels of the animal world. Here is truly a magnificent demonstration of strength and determination. As she sets out in search of her wandering pup, her call is answered by dozens of hungry pups, each seeking to be accepted. But the final recognition depends upon odor, the scent of her own pup that she memorized the moment it was born. And here he comes. How do we know? Well, we don't know, but she'll know. And so the pup's time of agony has ended, for 2 days at least. Then mother will again go out to sea, and the cycle will be repeated over and over. So the mother seal's entire summer is devoted to feeding her pup, while the bull holds forth in his territory, snarling, fighting, and fasting.
I guess the fact is that while he goes through all the motions of protecting his large family, he's really protecting his own status.
By early August, the harems begin to break up as the seals start leaving the Pribilofs, the exodus reaching a peak in November. Back they go to their winter feeding grounds in the Pacific. Thus the cycle is completed.
Before we close, Marlin, I think you ought to explain how seals learn to swim.
Okay, Jim, let's do that. You may have heard that seal pups are taught to swim by their mothers. Well, actually, as we've seen, the cows do nothing for them but feed them. In the course of their wanderings, the pups naturally wander down to the sea. They start playing in the water. And as they venture into deeper water, or slide into it, they have no choice but to swim. So, they swim, just like that. By fall, they're expert swimmers, and they leave the islands to spend the next 8 or 9 months in the water, never touching land again until spring. But then, like generations upon generations of seals before them, they too heed the call of the Pribilofs. And how they find their way still remains a mystery of the wild kingdom.
Like what you saw? Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube for more exclusive content. And visit our website at wildkingdom.com.